Hi, this is Martin at Octo Inkjet. We're going to show you how to install on an Office BX935FWD. There are going to be numerous other models very similar where the same approach is going to apply, so don't just assume this is for just one printer. These are the tools you're going to need. Your kit will come with a pair of disposable lockable forceps, so you'll need those to hand. You will need a crosshead Phillips screwdriver, a pair of pliers, preferably long nose. We've got a pair of bent pliers. This just makes life a little bit easier for us, but needle nose pliers would be a really good idea, or something similar. Flathead screwdriver. You will also need a 4.5mm drill bit just to enlarge the hole to allow the waste tube to come out. So first things first, where is the waste pads? Right, they are basically located in a dropout container which exists here. So this at the bottom here is void. What we're going to do is we're going to take this off first and then remove the bit in there. First thing to do is remove that screw. Just gently ease flathead screwdriver under there. That will release two lugs, one there and one there. You then gently push in just there to release the catch, and stick in here and push. That will release all of the different lugs. So put that to one side. Is remove this screw here. That's the screw that holds the waste tank, the waste pad holder in place. So once you've done that, you then gently release that, and as you can see, this holds all of the waste pads. Next thing we need to do is show you where the waste tube is. I'm just going to turn this around and get you zoomed in. As you can see, just in there, just there, tip of my finger, deep into the roof is the waste tube. Now yours may not be sticking out as much as this one, but the process of actually getting to this is quite convoluted, so I'm going to describe it first and then I'm going to actually show you. So I'll just pull out a tiny bit. Right, what we need to do is basically get our locking forceps onto that in such a way that it allows us to actually stick our barb connector, which I'm showing you here, into that open end there. The idea is to extend that waste tube with this one. We've ripped the outer case for the two sides here so that we can actually show you what's happening when we're trying to connect a tube to this internal waste ink tube here. You have some excess capacity, but you do not want to pull out like this, because you're stretching the tube, and also you're running the risk of that tube snapping off of the connection fitting inside on the pump. If you break off the tube internally, that's it, game over. You're not going to be able to fix that without taking the entire printer apart. What you would normally do is use your forceps to lock off the tube or extend the tube out about 1 centimetre and then lock it off around about there. A couple of things you want to be doing. One, you want to be cleaning the inside of that tube with, I've taken a cotton bud here and I've stripped most of the cotton wadding off, so this will fit in the tube. And then what I'm going to do now is basically stick that in there and swab out the inside of the tubing like that. You want to swab out as much of the waste ink on the inside of the tube as you can, because otherwise that lubricates things and makes it easier for the connector to pop out. The next thing to do is disconnect that, get a little bit of kitchen towel, and then clean on the outside of your waste tube. Now the reason you do that is when you come to insert your connector into the tube, you want minimal lubrication on the inside of the tube so that this stays in, and minimal lubrication on the outside of the tube so that the tube doesn't push into the printer and out of sight where you can't get to it. Okay, so you want your connector to go in approximately to the top of the barb. If you can get your fingers into that gap that normally exists here, then by all means get your fingers in, hold the tube and push the connector on like that. Yeah, if that's an option, do that every single time. If it's too difficult, you're a bit fat fingered like I am, and you can't get your hands into that space to hold it, then use your forceps as a brace to get it most of the way in, so that it's splayed out the tube like that. The reason for that is if you get it to that level, you can see it's wider. Down at this side, it's thin. And then use the edges of that hole to actually act as your brace or your other pair of fingers for you. Like that. And the way we did that was we used the hole and the flaring action of the barb to basically create a brace out of the hole, so that the hole itself forces the barb further into the tubing and the tubing further onto the barb, giving you a good solid connection like that. And as you can see, that is now all the way on. So that's well and truly attached, and shouldn't just pop off if you get pressure on it. That's the hardest part done. Now you need to disconnect your extension, leaving the slightly smaller barb on the inside, so you end up with your clip and your fitting here. So now that you've got everything sorted out, your tubing piece, you want to modify your hole so that the tube can come through here and connect, and this bit is going to act as a brace. So we need the drill at this point. You need a 4.5mm diameter drill bit. All that's going to do is just expand that hole ever so slightly. What I can do now is just push that piece of tubing through there. I can then reconnect two pieces of tubing like so, and then just pull that nice and tight. Now, as you can see, that now acts as a strain relief, so if anybody comes along, catches that, it's not going to yank this off or pull the tubing out off the pump or anything like that. It's just nice and simple. The last thing to do is to put the base unit back in. So you just push down, put all the different bits in, and then once that's done, you put back the one screw that you took out from the side here. Installation is now all done. All that remains is for you to pull the printer back over like that, just gently, and hook up your printer potty tank like so. Key thing to remember is keep it on the same level as the printer. Make sure that this clip is open and that this is screwed on properly. Vent hole also needs to be close to the valve end, this here. So yes, the only other thing is obviously make sure that you don't end up crimping your tube like that, or sticking the printer on top of it like that. It'll pinch the tubing, and any pinching is going to stop ink from flowing through. So make sure your tube is out of the way and you'll be good to go.